Terry Porter's name might not immediately roll off the tongue when discussing basketball's greatest point guards, but his 17-year professional career from 1985 to 2002 tells the story of one of the NBA's most consistent and reliable floor generals. Standing 6 feet 2 inches and weighing 195 pounds, Porter combined exceptional shooting ability with steady leadership to carve out a remarkable career that included 2 NBA Finals appearances, 2 All-Star selections, and ultimately an NBA championship. Born on April 8, 1963, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Porter's path to basketball stardom was anything but conventional. Unlike many of his contemporaries who starred at major college programs, Porter honed his skills at a small Division III school before becoming one of the most dependable point guards of his generation. His career statistics tell an impressive story: 15,666 career points, 7,160 assists, and a remarkable 40.2% three-point shooting percentage that placed him among the elite outside shooters of his era. Terry Porter's basketball journey began in an unlikely place for a future NBA star. From 1981 to 1985, he played at the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point, a Division III school that rarely sent players to the professional ranks. But Porter wasn't your typical Division III player. He was something special. During his time with the Pointers, Porter established himself as one of the most prolific scorers in the program's history. Playing in a smaller conference didn't diminish his competitive fire. In fact, it probably helped shape the fundamental skills and team-first mentality that would serve him so well in the NBA. He learned to make every possession count, to value the basketball, and to understand that winning games was more important than individual statistics. The fact that Porter even made it to the NBA from Stevens Point is remarkable in itself. Division III schools don't get the same scouting attention as major programs, and players have to really stand out to catch the eye of professional scouts. Porter did exactly that, averaging impressive numbers while leading his team to competitive seasons in the Wisconsin State University Conference. When the Portland Trail Blazers selected Terry Porter in the first round of the 1985 NBA Draft, 24th overall, it marked the beginning of what would become one of the most successful decades in franchise history. Porter didn't just make the team. He quickly established himself as the kind of point guard every team dreams of having. The mid to late 1980s Blazers were building something special, and Porter was a crucial piece of that puzzle. He brought a combination of scoring ability, court vision, and leadership that perfectly complemented the team's emerging stars. By the time Clyde Drexler was soaring through the air and Buck Williams was dominating the paint, Porter was the steady hand directing traffic and making sure everyone got their touches. What made Porter special wasn't just his ability to distribute the basketball, but his capacity to score when his team needed it most. He developed into a deadly three-point shooter at a time when the shot was still relatively new to the NBA landscape. Porter understood that stretching the floor would create more opportunities for his teammates, and he became one of the league's most reliable outside shooters. The pinnacle of Porter's Portland career came during the team's run to the NBA Finals in 1990 and 1992. Those Blazers teams were loaded with talent, but Porter was often the guy who held everything together. In the 1990 Finals against the Detroit Pistons, Porter averaged over 15 points and 8 assists per game, showing he could perform on basketball's biggest stage. While the Blazers fell short both times, losing to Detroit in 5 games in 1990 and to Chicago in 6 games in 1992, Porter's performances in those series established him as one of the premier point guards in the league. During the 1990-91 season, Porter had arguably his best individual year, averaging 17.0 points and 8.1 assists per game, while shooting over 40% from three-point range. He was selected to his first All-Star game that season, a recognition that was long overdue for someone who had been consistently excellent for several years. Porter's ability to perform in clutch situations became legendary in Portland. Time and again, when the Blazers needed a big shot or a crucial basket, Porter delivered. His basketball IQ was off the charts. He seemed to always know exactly what the team needed, whether it was a quick score, a defensive stop, or getting the ball to the right player at the right time. The Blazers teams of the early 1990s are often remembered for coming close, but not quite getting over the hump. Some critics pointed to their inability to beat the Bulls or Pistons when it mattered most. But anyone who watched those teams play knew that Porter gave everything he had. He was the consummate professional, the guy who showed up every night ready to compete regardless of the circumstances. By the mid-1990s, the Blazers were transitioning. Some of the core players from those championship-contending teams were aging or moving on, and the franchise was looking to rebuild. Porter, meanwhile, was still playing at an extremely high level and had established himself as one of the most respected players in the league. In 1995, Terry Porter's decade-long run in Portland came to an end when he was traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves. The move represented a significant change for Porter, who had become synonymous with Trail Blazers basketball. But it also offered him a new challenge and the opportunity to help build something from the ground up. The Timberwolves of the mid-1990s were still a relatively young franchise, having been founded in 1989. They were looking for veteran leadership and basketball experience, and Porter provided both in abundance. Coming from Portland's winning culture, he brought a professionalism and work ethic that was invaluable to a developing team. Porter's 3 seasons in Minnesota were marked by steady, consistent play. While the Timberwolves weren't contending for championships like his Portland teams had been, Porter continued to produce at a high level. He averaged double figures in scoring and continued to be an excellent facilitator, helping younger players develop their games. Porter's leadership extended beyond just basketball skills. He was known for his preparation, his professionalism, and his approach to the game. Younger players could see how a veteran conducted himself, how he prepared for games, and how he handled both success and adversity. These lessons were probably just as valuable as any basketball technique he could teach. The Timberwolves gradually improved during Porter's tenure, though they still weren't quite ready to make a serious playoff push. Porter's role evolved somewhat during these years. He was still a key contributor, but he also began to take on more of a leadership role that would serve him well later in his career. After his time in Minnesota, Terry Porter had a brief stint with the Miami Heat in 1999. This was during a unique period in NBA history. The season was shortened due to a lockout, and many players found themselves in new situations as teams scrambled to put together rosters for the compressed schedule. Porter's time in Miami was short but meaningful. The Heat were building around players like Alonzo Mourning and Tim Hardaway, and they needed veteran depth and leadership. Porter provided exactly that, bringing his characteristic steadiness and basketball intelligence to a team that was trying to make a playoff push in a chaotic season. Even though his Miami tenure was brief, Porter made the most of his opportunity. He continued to show that he could contribute at the NBA level, providing quality minutes and veteran leadership when called upon. The shortened season meant fewer games, but Porter's professionalism and experience were valuable assets for a Heat team that was trying to maximize every opportunity. Terry Porter's final NBA stop turned out to be his most rewarding from a team success standpoint. When he joined the San Antonio Spurs in 1999, he became part of an organization that was about to embark on one of the most successful runs in NBA history. The Spurs were built around Tim Duncan, who was just entering his prime, and David Robinson, who was still playing at an elite level. Coach Greg Popovich was establishing the culture and system that would make San Antonio a model franchise for years to come. Porter fit perfectly into this environment, bringing veteran leadership and basketball wisdom to a team that was learning how to win at the highest level. Porter's role with the Spurs was different from what it had been during his prime years in Portland. He was no longer the primary ball handler or one of the team's leading scorers. Instead, he became a valuable role player who could provide steady minutes, hit important shots. When the Spurs won the NBA championship in 1999, it represented the culmination of Porter's long journey through professional basketball. He had come close multiple times in Portland, experiencing the heartbreak of falling short in the finals. Now finally, he was part of a championship team. It was a fitting reward for someone who had given so much to the game and had always put team success ahead of individual recognition. The Spurs' success continued beyond 1999, and Porter remained a valuable contributor through the 2001 to 2002 season. While he wasn't putting up the same numbers he had during his prime years, his impact on the team's success was undeniable. He understood his role perfectly and executed it with the professionalism that had defined his entire career. Terry Porter's basketball career represents something increasingly rare in professional sports: longevity combined with consistent excellence and unwavering professionalism. In an era where player movement is constant and loyalty is sometimes questioned, Porter's career stands as an example of what can be accomplished through hard work, basketball intelligence, and a team-first mentality. His journey from Division III Wisconsin-Stevens Point to NBA champion is inspiring for anyone who has ever been overlooked or underestimated. Porter proved that talent evaluation isn't perfect, and that sometimes the best players are the ones who simply understand how to play the game the right way. The numbers tell part of Porter's story. He finished his career with over 15,000 points and 7,000 assists, impressive totals that reflect his consistent production over nearly 2 decades. But the complete story is about much more than statistics. It's about a player who maximized his abilities, helped his team succeed, and earned the respect of everyone he played with and against. Terry Porter may not be a household name like some of his contemporaries, but his impact on the game was significant and lasting. He showed that you don't have to be the flashiest or most athletic player to have a successful career. You just have to understand the game, work hard, and always put the team first. In today's basketball world, those qualities are just as valuable as they were during Porter's playing days. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate you guys. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, and stay safe.